You are hanging out with Death Count, and as you already probably read in the title, Spoiler Tuesday this week is not going to happen. I thought it was. It's not. Reason being, my comic book shop is preparing for a signing tomorrow, so they won't have the new comic books out until tomorrow for me, unfortunately. I tried to get them. I couldn't. I apologize for that. Instead, I'm going to bring you some of my favorite graphic novels of all time. And let me know in the comment section what are some of yours in case I missed any. Okay, so I'm going to do about a top 10, maybe a top 13, top 14. I don't even know. I just grabbed a few of what I had in my shelf that I like. So we're going to start right here. Spider-Man Torment. I love this book as a kid. Love love Todd McFarlane art, especially in Spider-Man. He's awesome. So Torment is definitely up there for one of my favorite graphic novels. I also have the individual books of these two. Speeding Bullets. This is a book, unless you already know, where Superman's rocket, Kal-El's rocket, crashes in Gotham, and he's raised by the Waynes, and they never had Bruce. So same scenario. Parents die, and inspires the kid to become a vigilante, and he becomes Batman, but he has Superman's powers. So if you haven't read this, check it out. It's a pretty cool read. Everything switched. Like here, you have Lex as the Joker. So it was pretty interesting. Because he's pissed off like Bruce, but he's still Clark at the same time. So interesting read. Check that out. Unless you already have. This is a big fan favorite. One of my favorites, Gotham by Gaslight. I'm a big fan. Well, I don't want to say I'm a fan of Jack the Ripper, but it's interesting. It's an interesting case. I like studying all of the serial killer stuff. I think it's interesting. Was in a death metal band for a long time. Used to do a lot of research on serial killers, and Jack the Ripper is one of the coolest, and this is Batman interacting with Jack the Ripper. Also like H.H. Holmes and all these other serial killer stuff. It's so cool, and it's even cooler that Batman is interacting with these people, taking them down. So if you haven't read this, you're crazy. Okay. Next up, we got, you know what, I'm going to combine a few of these books, because they kind of go hand in hand. Check out this Mark Bagley artwork, man. Jesus Christ. Like, I'm going to get that tattooed one day, because that's just too cool. Alright, we got Venom. This is a story. Basically, Spider-Man and Venom interacting, fighting as normal, and it ends with Venom thinking that he killed Spider-Man, which is not true. Spider-Man goes to get Eddie Brock off the island once this guy comes into place, Carnage, who's the offspring of the symbiote. You guys all know him, and if you don't, you must be like 10 years old or something, and I'll forgive you for that. And even if you're older and you don't know too much about him, it's okay. Carnage, his real name is, the guy inside is Cletus Cassidy, serial killer, once again, and he bonded with the host, he bonded with the offspring of the Venom symbiote, and he became the host for it. And Carnage is just fucking awesome, and I remember buying the individual books when I was a kid. Actually, a quick story. I remember being in the comic shop, buying the first Carnage book, which is the one we're looking at. This is the collected of the 3 books, but the first book, the guy in the comic shop told me to save it, that it was going to be worth a lot of money one day. It's not really worth much, but it's still a classic, and I have saved it. And Mark Bagley is my favorite Spider-Man artist, so this is a classic book for me. Oh, I love that part. Venom's like, I'm the older, wiser symbiote, and Carnage is like, yeah, but I'm nastier. Blech. Shit is awesome. Okay, let's move on. Next up, we got Nightfall. Man, I grew up, got into Batman comics pretty much with Nightfall. That's when I became a fan of Batman, was with this title. It's a great book, great artwork. If you haven't read it, you need to. It reminds me of Hush, because it has a lot of villains, and it's all orchestrated by this one guy. So it's similar to Hush. This came out first, obviously, and it's a book where Batman gets his back broken by Bane, There it is. And part 3 of this series, I wasn't really crazy about, but I still have it. But I love when Bane gets the shit kicked out of him. So, Nightfall is a great read. I really love the issues with Zaz and the Scarecrow and Joker. Really cool stuff there. Next up, we got a classic Batman Year One. This is a lot of people's favorites. They made an animated movie on it. Frank Miller, dude is unbelievable. We already knew that. The dialogue is great. The inner monologue is the best thing in this book, with Commissioner Gordon and Bruce Wayne getting in their head. And you could tell that Scott Snyder in the current 0 years taking a lot from this book. Good job. Next up, we have a classic. We have Hush. Everyone should know Hush. Jim Lee and one of the best writers, Jeff Loeb, collaborated to make this book. And this is the book that really got me back into DC Comics. For a long time, I got into comics with DC, and then I got more into Marvel because I thought Marvel was better in the mid to late 90s. And then when Marvel started to suck at that time and got boring, I got back into DC with this book. And I've been with DC ever since. Not that I really left them, but I came back hard into comic books after Hush. And that was back in 03. So I've been going hard ever since. That was a great classic book. Moving on, we got another Jeff Loeb written book. Tim Sale doing the artwork. This is a classic Superman for all seasons. Wonderful artwork. And at first glance, you might not be crazy about it, but when you read it, you understand that this artwork, it goes perfect with the story, and you start to really appreciate Tim Sale. I mean, the guy is unbelievable. Love his style. Check that book out, unless you already have. Okay, next up, we have some current stuff. We have Court of Owls, artwork by Greg Capullo. Death of the Family, which was a continuation, sort of. This story jumped in right after this story, and the Joker mentions the Court of Owls a few times, so threw it in there too. Scott Snyder's writing, especially in Court of Owls, was unbelievable. Really good. Love how he describes Gotham City. You know, really, Gotham City is the main character in this book, and people come second. I really like the way he describes the city and its history and all that. Some phenomenal artwork. Obviously, I got the freaking, I got the tattoos because I liked it so much. And the Joker coming back with his face torn off, and he's wearing it now as a symbol of rebirth. Love all of it. This was such a great story. So, if you haven't checked out this stuff, you could find this definitely in your local Barnes & Noble. Court of Owls and Death of the Family. Really good stuff from these guys. And 0 Year will probably be here too, but it's ongoing right now. Next up, we have a lot of people's favorite, and I got the Absolute edition here. The Dark Knight Returns. This is one of my favorite books, as it is a lot of other people's. I had to get the Absolute edition because Frank Miller's artwork blown up to this size. I mean, look at the comparison. Here. See that? It's that much more awesome. So, you guys already fucking know all about this book. Don't even need to tell you about it. I'm gonna move on. Probably my favorite Batman story, maybe The Long Halloween, and Dark Victory is good too. So, if you haven't read this, Tim Sale, Jeff Loeb, if you haven't read it, you're really going to enjoy it the first time because it's a kind of whodunit murder kind of mystery thing going on. There's a scarecrow. Really fun book. Really great writing. I mean, Tim Sale is one of the best of all time. Dark Victory. Also kind of whodunit book with the introduction of Robin in this book. So if you haven't read this, you're going to love it. And if you already have, then you know what I'm talking about. And these are always fun to reread after a few months. So check those out. Moving on. We got the book that brought me into comic books, The Death of Superman. Picked up these individual books in 1992 when I was around 9. And this entire story, Dan Jurgens, man, was my favorite artist on all these books and writer. And he just killed it, man. Like, he was so awesome with everything he did with these books. And Throw in that one too, which came out a few years later. But from the death to the mourning to the return with these four assholes, oh my God, man. I was hooked on comic books, starting with this. This kept me going for years here. I got into this, and I got into Nightfall, Batman, and then I got into Wolverine, X-Men, I got into Spawn, I got into so much stuff, man. It was such a great time for comic books, and me being a kid at that time, I was so hyped. And also that time, Batman, the animated series, just came on, the X-Men cartoon, the SpiderMan cartoon, and it was a great time to be a kid back in the 90s. So, moving on, we got SpiderMan Blue. I just recently read this book. And wow, was I blown away, man. Jeff Loeb did it again. Tim Sale was unbelievable in this book. I think this is his best work. And the book actually made me cry. I don't want to tell you why, because I don't want to ruin the ending. But this scene with Mary Jane, man, that got me, man. I started to tear up. And I was with my girlfriend, too. So like, I was trying to hide it. But this is such a great book, man. Great, great book. If you haven't read this, if you've never heard of it, I'm doing you a big favor. Go to Barnes & Noble, get it online. This is a great book, whether you're a comic fan or not. SpiderMan Blue. Jeff Loeb, Tim Sale. Check it out. Just look at all that shit. So, my favorite of all time. Come on, Kingdom Come. Nothing tops this book for me. It's a perfect Superman story. Perfect Batman story. Just everything about this book is unbelievable. I had to get the Absolute edition. I got quite a few of these Absolute editions because I can't say no to this much awesomeness. Love Alex Ross, and Mark Waid killed it, man. Oh my God, I love this book. I can go on for hours about this book. And one of my favorite shots is at the end. I don't know if I'm going to pass it or not, but oh wait. It's coming up. It's coming up. It's coming up. Well, it was the cover to book 4. Here it is. Superman in the rubble and the ash. Freaking love that cover, man. I might get that tattooed one day. So, if you haven't read this, then you need to close this video and go get this book right now. This was an unbelievable book. Love it. So, I know I'm missing a bunch of awesome titles. I just grabbed the stuff I had on my bookshelf. I have more individual books than I do collections. I always think of collections as like for people who aren't real collectors, you know. No offense. That they'd rather just read the entire book in one shot, which is fine. But me, I can't wait, man. Like, I'm a weekly guy. Always been a weekly guy. Monthly guy, weekly guy, whatever. But I want to thank you guys for watching. This was a long video. And I'll be back next week with Spoiler Tuesday. At least I'll try to be back. And I want to thank you guys for sticking with me. And that's it. Tomorrow is a Neil Adams signing. Going to get some pictures and some video, hopefully. And I'm going to put that up. I know the owner, and he's going to let me in early. Hopefully, I'll have some private time with Neil Adams, and I'll get some video on here for you. Okay? Also going to a Charles Soule signing tomorrow after the Neil Adams. He's the guy who's writing Superman, Wonder Woman right now. So, a lot of stuff tomorrow. So, thank you again. Death Count out. Talk to you later.